They silenced her, thinking no one would ever hear her voice again. But in the age of technology, silence leaves digital fingerprints, and she owned every one of them. This is the story of Maya Brooks, the woman who turned humiliation into history and brought a billion-dollar empire to its knees. The camera fades in on the skyline of San Francisco at dawn. A narrator's voice, warm, steady, filled with quiet fire, cuts through the hum of the city. Every revolution starts small, sometimes with a protest sign, sometimes with a whisper behind closed doors. For Maya Brooks, it began with an email, 7 sentences long, that no one in Technova Systems would ever forget. Maya was the head of ethical AI research at Technova, a company that promised the world transparency, equality, and innovation. Behind the glass offices and diversity slogans, though, another truth lived, one written in side glances, closed-door meetings, and promotion lists that always stopped at the same color line. She joined Technova believing that technology could rewrite justice. But the algorithm she built to detect bias in facial recognition was about to expose something far uglier: bias inside the company itself. The narrator pauses as the camera pans across Technova's headquarters, shimmering chrome, employees sipping artisan coffee, posters reading code for good. To the outside world, Technova was progressive paradise. But inside, Maya had learned that progress was PR, until it wasn't profitable. Her voice memo to her friend Priya still exists in the cloud. They told me to tweak the results. They said showing racial bias would hurt investor confidence. I told them that's the point. Our product is biased. They smiled, said, "Let's not make this political." It wasn't political. It was personal. Conference room B, glass walls, 12 executives, and Maya, the only black woman in the room. Her presentation was perfect. Charts, code audits, proof that the AI misidentified black faces at twice the error rate of white ones. When she finished, silence. Then, the chuckle of Richard Coleman, Chief Operating Officer. "Interesting data, Maya," he said, swirling his espresso. "But we can't go to the market admitting this. Investors need confidence, not controversy." Maya met his eyes. "Confidence built on lies collapses faster than code under pressure," she replied. The room shifted uncomfortably. Someone coughed. Another executive typed fake notes. And then came the words that would haunt Technova forever. "You people get too emotional about these things." In that moment, Maya felt 30 years of progress unravel in a single sentence. You people. The corporate version of a leash. Still, she stayed calm. She always did. But silence, she knew, was just permission dressed in professionalism. That night, she wrote that 7-sentence email to the entire executive board. A plea, a warning, and a promise that she wouldn't bury the truth. Subject: integrity in AI deployment. Body: if our technology harms marginalized communities, it's not innovation, it's regression. I cannot, in good conscience, lead a project built on racial bias. We must address this before public release. She hit send at 11:43 p.m. By 8 a.m., her employee badge access was revoked. Technova called it a restructuring. The press release called it a shift toward automation. But everyone in the building knew what it was: retaliation wrapped in policy. They escorted her out with security. The same people who'd applauded her TED Talk on ethics and AI couldn't meet her eyes now. Outside, Maya stood beneath the Technova logo gleaming in the California sun. She smiled, not out of joy, but because she'd already made a backup. Every file, every meeting recording, every biased data log she'd been told to delete. In the cloud, silence had witnesses. Weeks passed. No job offers. Her name is quietly blacklisted in the valley. Black women in tech often carry 2 resumes, the one that lists their achievements and the invisible one that lists the rooms they've survived. Maya rented a small workspace in Oakland, living on savings and conviction. With her friend Priya, she began rebuilding the AI model, unfiltered, unbiased, and open source. She called it Project Lucent, because truth deserves light. Each night, they coded until sunrise, fueled by cheap coffee and fury. When the prototype worked, it shocked them both. It didn't just detect bias, it traced the source, linking skewed outputs back to the human decisions that caused them. Priya looked up, eyes wide. If this goes public, it'll expose every company using biased datasets. Maya nodded, including Technova. 3 months later, Technova unveiled its new product, Vision ID 2.0, a revolutionary AI for global security. Maya recognized the interface immediately. Her old code, her research, rebranded, stripped of context, and repackaged for profit. They'd stolen her work, silenced her name, and sold the bias she tried to fix. The announcement trended on Twitter, #TechnovaVision. But a smaller hashtag began to appear beneath it, #WhoBuiltTheCode. Maya hadn't started it. A former intern did, someone who'd seen her dragged out of the office that morning months ago. And within days, the story spread. Screenshots, emails, whispers turned into threads, and threads into truth. Still, Technova's PR machine spun faster. They released statements calling her a disgruntled ex-employee and threatened legal action. But they hadn't seen what was coming. You can't bury the truth in a server farm. It'll replicate. Maya's Project Lucent was ready. She uploaded it anonymously to an open-source platform under the username The Silent Coder. Within hours, data scientists worldwide confirmed the findings. Technova's system misidentified darker-skinned faces at catastrophic rates. Government agencies using the software were unknowingly enforcing bias. News outlets picked it up. But the world still didn't know who had leaked it. That changed when a clip surfaced, an internal Technova meeting recorded months earlier. In it, the COO's voice. If we fix the bias, we lose speed. If we lose speed, we lose profit. Maya hadn't leaked that clip. But she knew who had: Priya, the friend who'd sat silently through that same meeting. Sometimes courage is contagious, especially when injustice goes viral. Reporters camped outside Technova HQ. Investors panicked. The stock plunged 37% in 3 days. The CEO, Vincent Kane, issued a carefully worded statement blaming a few technical oversights and promising a diversity audit. But activists weren't buying it. Civil rights groups demanded congressional hearings. And in every news segment, one name kept resurfacing: Maya Brooks. Her inbox flooded with messages. Journalists, lawyers, strangers thanking her for speaking out. But one email stopped her cold. From Vincent Kane. Subject: Let's talk. We'd like to invite you to discuss a possible resolution. We believe there's been a misunderstanding. Maya stared at the screen. In Silicon Valley, resolution often means silence, bought, signed, and sealed. But she wasn't for sale. The next week, Technova announced a live broadcast. CEO Vincent Kane addresses recent allegations. Every major outlet tuned in. The company's press room gleamed under studio lights. Rows of reporters. Cameras rolling. Then came the surprise. At the far end of the stage, next to Kane, stood Maya Brooks. Gasps rippled across the room. The internet exploded. #MayaReturns trended worldwide. Kane smiled tightly. Maya and I are here to clear up misunderstandings and reaffirm our shared commitment to ethical innovation. She smiled back, but it wasn't agreement. It was patience before detonation. Sometimes the best seat at the revolution is the one they offer you, thinking you're still their pawn. Maya adjusted the microphone. Her voice is steady, clear. Before we begin, may I play something for the audience? She tapped her phone. The speakers crackled. Then came that recording. Richard Coleman's voice, unmistakable. You people get too emotional about these things. The room froze. Every journalist leaned forward. Kane's smile collapsed. And in that instant, corporate power met its reflection, and it blinked. Fired for speaking out. The black woman who brought down $1 billion tech empire. The recording echoed through the auditorium like thunder bottled in glass. For a second, the only sound was the hum of camera equipment and a single cough from the back row. Then the murmurs started, soft at first, then swelling into a wave. Every reporter knew what that clip meant. Proof. Context. Intent. This wasn't a technical oversight. It was corporate contempt recorded in high definition. Vincent Kane leaned toward the microphone, trying to smile. That audio is taken completely out of. Maya cut him off, calm but unyielding. Out of context? Or out of conscience? The crowd gasped. Kane blinked, thrown off balance. She turned to the audience. Universities played it in ethics classes. High school students quoted it in debate clubs. People shared it with captions like, "This is what leadership looks like." In a world where outrage fades in 24 hours, truth that heals lasts decades. Maya never asked for fame. But fame came anyway, not in followers, but in faith. Millions now believing that one voice still mattered. 6 months later, Technova filed for bankruptcy protection. A rival company, Lumicore Technologies, acquired its remaining assets. Guess who they appointed as chief ethics officer? Maya Brooks. When the news broke, journalists flooded her doorstep again. One asked, "Maya, is this revenge?" She smiled gently. "No. This is maintenance. I'm just cleaning the code we all live by." Poetic symmetry. The same building that once locked her out now opened its doors with her name on them. Her first day back, she addressed a hall of employees, diverse, nervous, expectant. Some of you remember when I was escorted out of here. Some of you helped me pack my desk. Today, I'm not here to talk about punishment. I'm here to talk about purpose. She paused, scanning the crowd. For years, Technova sold trust. They told the world their technology, saw everyone equally. But I watched that technology fail on faces like mine. When I spoke up, they erased me. A beat of silence, thick with history. Her voice softened. Today, I'm not here to destroy a company. I'm here to remind every coder, every engineer, every leader that ethics isn't optional. The words weren't loud, but they landed with the weight of truth long delayed. Screens behind her flickered alive. Graphs, emails, internal memos, all projected in real time. Each slide is another confession that Technova never intended to fix its bias. A journalist from The Guardian raised her hand. "Ms. Brooks, are you saying Technova knowingly released discriminatory software?" Maya met her eyes. "I'm saying they knew, and they released it anyway." The reporters erupted with questions. Cameras zoomed. Hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag Technova exposed. Hashtag Maya Brooks speaks. Hashtag bias in code. Vincent Kane tried to end the conference, signaling to cut the feed. But the broadcast was already mirrored on dozens of live streams. You can't unplug the truth once the world starts sharing it. By midnight, the board had convened an emergency meeting. Within 24 hours, Technova's stock lost half its value. Government subpoenas followed. Contracts suspended. Sponsors gone. Meanwhile, across the internet, Maya's Project Lucent climbed to 1 million downloads. Students analyzed its code in classrooms. Activists quoted her words in protests. Her name became a symbol, not of scandal, but of courage. But she didn't celebrate. Not yet. At home, the city lights glimmered against her apartment window. Priya sat beside her on the couch, laptop open to the news ticker. Technova CEO under investigation. Priya whispered, "You did it." Maya shook her head. "We did it. Every person who ever got told they were too emotional." 3 days later, an email arrived from Technova's lawyers. They offered a private settlement and public apology in exchange for her silence. The number was staggering, 8 figures. She read it twice, then laughed softly. Because some prices insult you simply by existing. She forwarded the email to a journalist with a single line. "Transparency starts here." Within an hour, the screenshot went viral. Public opinion shifted from admiration to awe. People weren't just rooting for her. They were rallying behind her. 2 weeks later, she walked into Capitol Hill. A congressional subcommittee had summoned her as an expert witness on algorithmic bias. Rows of cameras, lawmakers, tech executives watching from the back. She placed her hand on the oath Bible, looked up, and said, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole code and nothing but the code." Laughter rippled softly through the room, easing the tension. Then she told her story, chronologically, precisely, without venom. About the data, the silence, the humiliation, the firing, but also about hope. About what technology could still become if built on empathy, not ego. By the time she finished, one congresswoman was wiping away tears. Another whispered, "History's being written in real time." That clip, 19 minutes long, became the most watched civic video of the year. We write lines of code that shape people's lives. That's power. And power without empathy is just another form of bias. Applause rose, slow at first, then thunderous. Cameras caught it, and once again, the clip spread like wildfire. Months passed. Technova's old logo faded from the skyline, replaced by Lumicore's. But on the top floor, framed behind glass, hung Maya's original 7-sentence email. Below it, an inscription read, "Integrity begins where fear ends." She often walked past it quietly, coffee in hand, remembering the night she almost gave up. Now, every intern stopped to read it before their first day. Her father called one evening from Atlanta. "Baby, they talk about you on the news every night." She laughed. "Guess all those years you told me to speak up paid off." "No," he said, "all those years they tried to silence you made you louder." The camera pans across the city at dusk, Bay Bridge lights reflecting on the water. Maya's silhouette stands at her office window. They thought firing her would erase the problem. But some problems don't disappear, they evolve into movements. Maya Brooks didn't burn bridges, she rewired them. And in doing so, she taught a generation that dignity is the most advanced technology of all. The music swells, hopeful piano, faint gospel choir. Text on screen. Project Lucent now powers bias testing protocols in over 200 tech companies worldwide. Another line fades in. Maya Brooks, Forbes Person of the Year, for changing how machines and people see the world. The narrator's tone shifts from solemn to intimate. If this story moved you, if you believe one voice can still rewrite the system, let it echo. Share it. Because every view, every comment, every subscription keeps stories like Maya's alive and reminds the next Maya Brooks she's not alone. If you believe in justice, truth, and the courage to stand alone, please hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel. Let's reach 5,000 subscribers together so we can keep shining light where silence used to live. Justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just logs in and never signs out. Fired for speaking out. The black woman who brought down $1 billion tech empire.